Hey, it's Mr. Johns, and welcome to episode 3 in our Minecraft side scroller and Scratch tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We've got a lot to do in this episode. One thing that we didn't get done in the first 2 episodes was something I just overlooked, and that is uploading the background. So we want to choose a backdrop I should call it, backdrop, upload. And then you should have already downloaded it. So if you go look at Minecraft Day, really you can choose any background. So backdrop. If you find another one that you like better, no problem. It won't affect the game at all. It's just important that the backdrop doesn't have a lot of objects that look like they should be moving, right? So this should be something that is far, far away, like the sun. So in this case, we have just the sun and the sky, and that is it. Okay, so that's all there is to it, is uploading that one backdrop for now. All right, so we can looks like we need to there's some white space right there. I need to figure out what that's all about, and maybe we can simply drag. That may not be something you see in your screen, but it's part of the... Okay, so if you remember, one thing I discussed in... boy, that does not cover the whole screen. One thing that I discussed earlier was that if you end up with... if you're copying and pasting and you're not careful, you might grab some of the space above... the ground sprite, and you might end up with some, that's too much, some of the white space, and that's exactly, you can see what's happening here is, this is really difficult to do actually. I wonder if I can select and hit delete. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to select this whole area and then just hit delete. See if that does the trick. Yeah, much faster. Much faster than trying to use my eraser. So if you do end up with that same situation, anyway, I think I solved the problem. Also, I want to drag Alex and put Alex down right here on the ground, and that's about the location I'd like the character to start. So I am doing some resizing and a few minor details here to get where I want to be. I'm going to try to make sure that Alex and Steve are starting in the same spot. I think I actually like where Steve is. I'm going to move her up just a little bit and try to make sure that they're pretty close to the same location. So I think that is great right there. Good enough. Okay, so if you notice what's happening here, I've got a scrolling, not that it matters that I'm on the ground. I'm really just scrolling, and I'm not scrolling. The ground is scrolling. So, and if you don't like how far to the left that character is, you could move in the costumes area. You could move Steve and Alex a little bit further to the right. If you want Alex to be more in the middle of the screen. So, hey, our goals today, in addition to adding the backdrop, our goals are to make the characters jump, also add some additional ground blocks, so we have more than just one block that scrolls. So we need more, and so that should be plenty to keep us busy. And I have. In front of me, I've got 2 screens. I've got this screen here where I'm going to code it from scratch, in Scratch. I have to say that every time. And the screen that I'm looking at right now is the finished episode. So I can look at my own code, make sure I get it correct. So we do have a lot of coding to do. I'm trying to figure out where exactly we should start. We have a lot to do. So I think we will jump right into the player code. So go ahead and click on player, click on code, and this is where you should have left off after episode 2. We have right and left. We don't have any up and down. We have play game, broadcast, and receive. And we also have a restart block, custom block. So we're going to change how a lot of this looks. So stick with me the best you can. So I'm going to update my code so that it is correct. We are going to change a bunch of stuff to make it work better. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this off to the side. We're going to keep this so that we need to replace it with a set scroll x, set scroll x to, and then we need a player x right there. Okay, so we're going to set the scroll x to player x. We can just dump this, don't need it. And then you can drag this back up. We still want the same code for our left and right, which, as you can see, is still working just fine. We are going to then add another if-then, and then we need to make it go up. So if your up arrow is pressed, and remember we added the option of the WASD keys or arrow keys, so let's keep that going. So we need another OR right here. So a sensing, which is blue, if we press the up arrow or the W key. Okay, so that is going to, everything's alphabetical, W. Okay, and we don't need the down key. We won't be using S. Down in the side scroller is gravity. So in some games you might have the need to dig down, tunnel down, but for our purposes, we will not. We will just use gravity to our advantage, which we have to code. Gravity doesn't just appear, so you have to make it happen. All right, so if up arrow is pressed or the W key is pressed, then we need another if-then statement. We are going to add a new variable, and this one's going to be called, so go to variables, make a variable. This is going to be called Airtime, and it is for this sprite only, so it's lowercase letters. I should be really all lowercase, but if it's not all caps, it is for this sprite only. Okay, so we're going to say, hey, if airtime is less than 4, and here's the reason we need this code. Once we add the jump key, the character can double and triple jump in the air, which isn't realistic. In some games you might want that to be a thing. I don't. So we're going to say, hey, if you are less than 4 pixels up, you can't jump again. Okay. So if it's less than 4, yes. If it's more than 4, no. Let's see how that works. So this is the code we're saying. If your airtime is less than 4, okay, we could have called that anything, up in the air, but airtime is fine. We need to set your Y velocity to 15. So we're going to set our Y velocity, which we should, do we not have one? We do not have a velocity. These are just locations. So we need to add another variable, and that's going to be called Y velocity. And it is for this sprite only, I'm pretty sure. No reason not to. We don't need an X velocity. That was for left and right, but we do need a Y velocity. So we're going to go ahead and move Y velocity. So if set your airtime to, oh, sorry, that is not at all correct. If your airtime is less than 4, set your, why did I drag that over? Set your Y velocity. So now that it's a variable, we have the option in the drop down script here to choose set our Y velocity to 15. Okay, so 15 is how high it'll jump. And if it's less than 4, it can do that. If it's higher than 4, it can't do that. So it basically says, sorry, you cannot double or triple jump. So we're going to change, right here at the very bottom of this, we're going to change our y velocity to -2. And that just kind of sinks it down into the ground. And then we're going to choose a new custom block. We're going to call this y and run it without screen refresh, just called y, and click OK. We're going to grab this y and we're going to put it in a, I think I made a mistake. Let's go back to if you're behind, make sure, or if you're not behind, you're keeping up, just right click, edit this custom block. We need to add an input, and we're going to name, no, we're not going to name that input. Let's leave it blank so we can drag things to it. So, but we have to click that to give it an input. So now you'll see it has y blank. So we're going to also drag our variable. Now we're going to drag it. That's what I was thinking, dragging it over. We didn't have to drag it here. It's a drop down. Here we have to drag it. Change our y velocity by -2, y velocity. Okay, so that is what we're working towards. We're getting closer. Okay, one step at a time. Now sometimes, like right now, I can't hit up. I hit up arrow and nothing happens. So we're just not there yet. Okay, and we remember every time you make a new custom block, you have to define it. Okay, so we're going to have to define y in a moment. No, let's do it now. Let's do it now. Why not? We're here. So we have it. Let's define it. Okay, so we're going to define y by y velocity. We're going to grab y velocity. Okay, what mistake did I make? Something just doesn't look right to me, so give me a second. I believe the mistake I made was I did want to type something in. I did want to type y velocity. Whoa, not that. Okay, so go back to your block, right click on the y, and you want to add that one input, but you want to type in y velocity, click OK. And that's because we, there we go, now it shows up here. Because we want those to always be together. Doesn't matter y at this point. Okay, so let me just double check, make sure we're good here. All right, so so as you're getting caught up with me, I'm getting caught up with myself. Change y velocity by -2 and y velocity. Okay, so I want this to be, I think it should be below my, I like the definition to be right next to the block. So when I have like a y, I think I should have the definition of y next to it or right below it. So we should be good here. So we're going to do a define y velocity. All right, now we have some more code blocks to throw in here. I told you we had a lot to do, so I'm going to try to speed it up just a little bit. I try to keep my videos to 20 minutes each. It's just beyond that, it's just a little bit too much for one session for sure, for anybody. So we're going to change airtime by 1, and then we're also going to change the player y by y velocity. Now remember, with custom blocks, if you need this y velocity, it's not over here, not this one. This is a variable. We're talking about custom blocks, but I need this. So actually drag it out of this and drop it here. Okay, define y velocity. Okay, change airtime by 1, change player y by y velocity, and then we need to grab a position, which we do not have yet. So we're going to make another custom block. We're going to call this position, And we do not need any additional inputs. Just run it without screen refresh. Click OK. And then we're going to, remember, we always end up with a definition. So we're going to put that next to here, next to the place where I'm going to put position, which is right there. So drag it over here from the custom block area, and then define position is going to be right next to it. But let's got a lot of things going on here. Let's make sure everything is defined. Define update, and then update is right here. Okay, so I've already, let me drag this up too. Did we have this last time? Let's put this right here. So don't try, sorry if this seems confusing. It's coding, right? So I'm trying to keep everything kind of matched up. So we have one click, broadcast, play game. And over here is when I receive, play game. So I'm going to put that here because those go together. When I receive, play game. There. And then there's a restart and an update. Okay. So here's the definition of update. That's where we put all the controls. Okay. And now we're working on this define Y velocity because we just made that block. So we're defining Y velocity. And then we had to put a position in, and then here's the defined position. So, by the way, that block that I deleted earlier, I should have kept because this exact block needs to go right here, which I had a funny feeling, but I just dumped it anyway. So we need a under defined position. We need a go to XY, and then we're going to do a 2 minus operators, and then we need some variables. We're going to do player X. That's the player's X position, and then of course we need a player Y position, and then it's going to be a scroll X and the scroll Y. So we had that before up above. Just takes a second to remake it. Anyway, that's the only thing we need for define position. Okay, that is the definition of position. Once we define something, we can, this little magical block now, every time we use it, it is this. Does that make sense? So we're defining it, and then all we have to do is, instead of having to do this over and over and over and over again, we're just defining it once, and then all we have to use is this one little block. That's what a definition is. Okay, so it just makes it quicker. All right, so we need a repeat until. Repeat, not a repeat, but a repeat until, which is down here at the bottom. And we're going to say, hey, repeat until not touching the blocks. So a not is green. Not is green. Okay, my computer's starting to lag a little bit. I am uploading videos and editing videos at the same time, so my computer is doing its best. All right, so not touching. All right, not touching blocks. That's what we're calling the ground, blocks. Okay, you can see he fell already. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. He's like, ah. So that's because we're right in the middle of the code. So change player Y by 1. That's a variable. Okay, that's a variable. Oh, it's laggy. Come on, don't lag now. I got too much going on. Change, come on, baby. Change our player Y by 1. Player Y. That's the player's Y position, up and down. So it's going to go up. So we're talking about up and down movement. And then we're going to say, hey, instead of doing this huge block right here, we're just going to grab the position block. Not used to a laggy computer. So, all right, grab this position block, and we're going to put it right underneath that, right there. Yeah, you can see right here I've got my YouTube video processing from a previous episode, number 2, so it's chugging along. Okay, so set airtime to 0 and set Y velocity to 0. So we need 2 variables, both sets right here. Come on. have to at least be able to finish this. Set and set. Yeah, I should have waited to do the video until I was done with this. So I'm recording and uploading at the same time, and this gaming computer is really fast, but it's struggling, which is surprising. So set Y velocity to 0. Okay, and I think we're pretty golden here. We're getting really close. Let me just check. Restart. Here's a restart. So have we defined restart? Well, I should have, because you can't have a custom block without a definition. So we need to add a couple things here. Set player X to 0, set player Y to 0, and then set our Y velocity to 0. Which makes sense. We're talking about restarting. So if the game restarts, everything should be 0, including your speed up and down, right? You shouldn't be moving. And then this is the part I'm not 100% sure I should throw in here, to throw a go to an XY. Here we go. Come on. And I'm going to type in 0, 0, and I'm not really sure I want to do that because I've already kind of told the characters where to start. And let me see what it does here. Okay, good, good, good. I was worried that it would put them actually I was worried it would put Steve in the middle, floating in the middle of the sky at 0, 0. So, which I don't know why it didn't, but it's working, so I'm not going to complain. It puts it right where I wanted it to go, which is awesome. Okay, so I think we have all the code that we need for, nope, there's missing one thing right here. I think another position block right there under update. Let's see if that does anything. Okay, nope, but we need it. Okay, why, I don't know. All right, so if you ever want to clean up your blocks because they're kind of messy, you can right-click, clean up blocks. And it just lines them all up kind of nice. And that's personal preference is all. I don't like them all jumbled up, so I guess that's my personal preference. So I think we are good there. Awesome, everything's working great. What we need to do is do some things with blocks. In addition to a few coding things, we need to create some additional blocks. So if you notice we have level 1, and I copied level 1 in the previous episode just by right-clicking and duplicate, and it automatically names it, which is beautiful. So it calls it level 1-2. And then we're going to keep these extra blocks, not as levels, just as sprites, as graphics that we can use if we need them. We really don't, because, well, we actually do, because we don't have any dirt blocks at this point. We only have grass blocks. So level 1, 2, so click on that, and you'll notice that, oh, I thought I was having some problems with the, let me zoom out. It should reach all the way across, and it looks like it's not, but I don't think that's really a problem because, oh, we fixed level 1, 2. We didn't fix level 1, 1. Okay, so if you remember our previous discussion, we talked about this this white line right there should not be there, so we need to use the cut tool, the select tool, and select a rectangle that goes all the way across the sprites here, and just hit select as low as you can and hit delete, and that should, which it did mostly, get rid of that white color right there, and looks like we're good. So we're going to zoom out, and the width actually doesn't matter because we're going to code it so that it repeats. They're going to scroll 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and however many you want. So level 1, 1, and this is up to you, personal preference here. And this is what makes it kind of fun, I think, is that everybody's game is going to look different because depending on what you do to the to the ground, to the blocks. So here's what I recommend you do. You zoom in, and Minecraft blocks cannot be, like grass cannot be stacked on grass. So I'm going to cut out, be real careful here how you do this. You should cut out an actual cube, square, and then move it up. Okay. I'll just let it sit there for now. And then, let's see, can I copy and paste this? I should be able to. That is really, really big. Let me zoom out. And here's the thing. It's got to be the same size as the others, but I can resize it, I guess, once I get it copied over. So I'm going to go ahead and Control C, and I'm going to go back to level 2, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and Control V. I'm going to click on the screen once just to make sure I'm selected there, and hit Control V. I'm hoping it comes in good. It did. It came in at the wrong size, not a problem. So we're going to go ahead and resize that. Now these have to be the same size, so I'm going to use this as a reference. And it's really just, there's no coding here. And I mean, there probably is for someone who knows more of what they're doing than I. But I am going to simply, whoops, you have to select it again. Yeah. And I'm going to try to make it as, it's close. I mean, it's really close. I'm just going to try to go just a little bit bigger. Okay. Oh, I should have left it selected. So once it's selected, you could go ahead and copy and paste, one of those if you want. Can't hurt just to slap that over there. And then this one I'm going to go ahead and slide down into the slot here. And if I did my size right, it should fit right in. It looks like I didn't quite, did I? Yeah, so now we have to do this again, if you remember. So once it's selected, you can do arrow keys to kind of get it lined up correctly. I think that's not there yet, is it? So, just this takes a little bit of patience to do this. So, but you can see what I'm getting at. I'm going to try to zoom in so I don't select any of the white space. Okay, and I think that was the mistake I was making before. And I can kind of see now, now that I didn't select the white space, I can see much easier. And it's not quite the right size. So what does one do here? It's not the right size. I'm going to select it again. I'm going to try to be right on. And I really should make it bigger. It needs to fit. It needs to, can I get in there? Go ahead and just drag it that way and this way, because I know that's the slot. I know that slot is the size I need, so that works. Okay, that works just fine. So once you have dirt, you can then put, oh, I probably should be careful. Remember, once you grab the air, I think, and I'm not sure if this is true. I don't want there to be any white space above this. I see I missed a little sliver over there. I don't really care, but I'm going to dump this right on top of that. So looks okay. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. So, I could do this all day, so I'm not going to. But I wanted to show you how I basically make a new level. So let me zoom out, make sure I'm good here. So level 2, just has, oh, you can see, yep, see that? Over here on the right side, there's that white space. When you're copying and pasting, if you're not careful, I can see it's right about here. And I'm going to hit delete. Oh, and see what it did is it found it, and it selected it. So hit delete. Okay, so you can make steps, you can make tunnels, you can make a lot of different things, but level 1.2, 1-2 now has at least one step. All right, so in my game that I'm working on, I've got, I think, 4 levels. So you should continue doing this. Just right click and duplicate. And then of course, now this calls it level 1-3. You can change this however you want to. Now, one of the things that I did in that I recommend you do is you upload a new sprite in the sprite area and go find, it's called lava block. And we're going to call this category danger. You know, I really should have called danger blocks or just danger. Obstacles, I'm not sure. I'm just going to call it danger. They're not going to all be blocks, so I don't want to call them danger blocks. And in addition, I already have a category called blocks. So we're going to go ahead and just call that danger. And in costumes, you'll see that it's still called lava block. All right, and what I want to do is select it. We're going to need this lava, and then we're going to make it smaller. You know, what we think is about the size of those other blocks. I mean, you can kind of see on the screen how close they are. They're close. It's close. So, and then once you've resized it and it's still selected, so go Control C, and then we're going to go back to the blocks, which I probably should have called ground. Now I'm kind of wishing I would have. And we're going to go to level 1.3. So if you haven't already duplicated 1, 2, do so. And then I am going to, let's see if I can. Wow, it's slowish. What I need to do is get rid of a couple blocks, which I'm trying to do. It's not letting me. Let me zoom in a bit. What we want to do is create like a lava pit area. So I'm going to try to find kind of where these blocks came together. And I'm going to delete 2 of them. Okay, boom. And then I'm going to paste, Control V, my lava, which, hello, there it is. Okay, it's up in the sky. All right, so we're going to put this lava about there, just so it's like a river of lava. And I'm going to go ahead and paste another. Now I'll go ahead and copy this one again. Control C, because it'll be right here and not floating up in the sky. And then Control V. So I have 2 of these. And I can overlap these, no problem. I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to try to make them the same height and that they're touching the walls. That one's a little bit off, I think. But, okay, good enough. That one is a little bit lower than the other, and I probably should have made it go up 1, but good enough for now. It doesn't matter that much. So we end up with, let me zoom out, make sure, okay, we're good. That lava right there needs to not be visible. So, okay, if you find you have a sprite that's just floating, because when you insert sprites, they all show up on the screen. And so one thing you can do is to click this either show or hide. So click the hide button. So now it's still there, but it's hidden. I've also copied and pasted 2 of them and put them here to make them into a river. So let's see if anything happens here with my character. I can jump. My gravity's not good. I'm going to have to check out why. Look at the gravity. Okay, but I can... I have some issues. So I haven't finished my coding yet, but it is working. There's a couple things that aren't working. One, those floor sprites, ground sprites, are too close together. They should be longer, further apart. And the other one is gravity, obviously. And then the third is I can run right into that wall. I'm just right arrow only right there. I'm not jumping. It climbs walls automatically. So 3 things I need to fix. So let's take a look at Y. I'm pretty sure all of our player code is correct. So let's look at our block code. So click on blocks and then code. We hardly have any code here. So we're going to add quite a bit. So when I receive play game, all we have is this, and we have a lot that we need to change. So stick with me here. Let's get going. So we're gonna, when I see move this off, we're gonna say set X ground. So this is a set, and we need not ground, sorry, X block X. Block X to, I called it ground before, so now I'm thinking block. So it's the X position of the block. Set the block X to 0. Set the block Y also to 0. And then we're going to click looks and then hide. Okay. And I'm going to go kind of fast, so if you need to pause this at any point, pause it and get caught up with the blocks. Okay. So my goal is 20 minutes per video, so I know I may go way over on this one because there's a lot to do. We're going to switch costume here to level 1-1. Okay, so basically we're saying, hey, under blocks, when we start the game, set the X position of your ground to 0-0. Okay, hide when you first start the game, hide it. Switch costume to the first one. Okay, and then here's where it gets kind of interesting. We're going to click on light orange and say create a clone of myself. Okay, create a clone of myself, and then so it's copying yourself. Set, we're going to set the block X again to 480. Now why 480? The screen is 480 pixels wide, so it's going to say, hey, make a copy of the ground and start over here. So now they're not going to overlap so much. They will be like end to end. Okay, and then set the Y ground to Y block to 0. Okay, all right, now we're going to switch the costume again under looks to 1-2. Pretty cool, right? And then all this stuff happens over and over again. So instead of having to do this again and again, let's go ahead and duplicate it like twice, and then we'll throw that back in there. Okay, so then it's going to create a clone, go to 480, switch costumes, make a clone of that, go to 480. Okay, except I see one mistake I made, and every mistake matters in coding. So the first time you say set, the second time you say change. So we're going to go back to variable. Okay, so notice that we have create clone, set block to 480, set block Y to 0, switch costume, create clone again. Now we're going to say change block X by 480, and then set block Y to 0. Okay, and then we're going to change our costume. I think we only have 3 at this point. Switch our costume to 1.3, and it won't be here if we didn't have, you know, it only shows you what we have. So we're going to go as far as 3, and then again create a clone, and then here's our mistake again. That needs to be a change. Change your block X by 480. Click it first, 480, and then set your block Y to 0, and I think we're good there. Okay, awesome. Okay, and I don't know if we need that block. I don't think we do. Yes, we do. Let's save that. Let's save that because we need, okay, so here's your entire block under ground, under blocks. Here's your entire code block for when I receive play game. So make sure you have all of that as is. And then here we're going to say when I start as a clone, because we've already mentioned clone over here, when I start as a clone, show, because we said hide. So let's say, hey, as soon as you copy yourself, show yourself, and then forever, something that's a little different here. We need to make a custom block called position. We did this before, but that was for the player. And then we need 2 inputs, 2, run without screen refresh. Okay, custom block, position, click this twice, run without screen refresh, click OK. Now you know there's always a definition when we have a new custom block. Let's put that down because we need this first. So we are going to basically borrow these and put that in the first circle and put this one. So don't grab here because it'll take it out. Grab the middle and put it right there. And then we can dump that. Okay. All right. So that is our code we need for when I start as a clone. And then the definition of position should look like this. We're going to, okay, did I make a mistake here? Maybe. Right click and edit. And I think here again we're going to type in X and type in Y. And click OK. So it actually works this way. It lets you type things in, but it also keeps the custom block with empty inputs, which we needed for here. But to define our position, we wanted X and Y to be the positions. And the thing that I just dumped, I should have kept because we need a go to XY. I hope you're keeping up. I apologize if this is overwhelming. All you need to do is copy the screen. Okay. And if you're one of my students, I am here to help you, or you can email me. I'd be happy to try to explain a little bit better or a little slower on how to do this. Okay, we're going to drag the X, dump it here, drag the Y, dump it here, and then we need an if then else statement. If then else, this one right here. And then we're going to do an AND operator right there. And we're going to say, hey, if, let's see, we need 2 equals. We need an equals and an equals. We're going to say, hey, if the X equals the blue X position, there's another X position, it's right here under blue, okay, and if the Y equals the Y, but the blue Y position, then under looks, choose show. But if not, hide. So it's basically going to say, hey, if the ground is in the right location, show it. If it's not, don't. Okay. All right. And finally, when I start as a clone, I think we're good there. I think we're good everywhere. However, my ground disappeared in the actual game. So that could be a problem. So let's figure out why. There's something, this doesn't look right. Oh, drag. Okay, yep, exactly. See, after a while, you'll start to see things that just don't look right. And that fixed the problem. Now, it's not perfect, I don't think. Let me see here. Yeah, see, there we go. That's not exactly perfect. But I can, and my gravity's still messed up. So I got to figure that he's floating. But I can jump. And I can still bump into things and climb. So it's still doing an auto climb. I don't die when I fall in lava, so that needs to be fixed. So there's a few minor issues, but as far as this episode, I think that's a great place to end because we have multiple ground sprites or blocks. We can jump, although he doesn't come back down. And so our up, he can double and triple jump, or you can just hold the up button and he keeps on going. So we need to fix that. And we need to line up our ground sprites a little bit better. So, hey, come back for episode 4. We're going to fix these things and then add a few more additional objects to our side-scrolling Minecraft game. It'll get better and better. I will see you next time around. Mr. John's out.